Dynasty price check time. It's been a while, but we're here. It's June 19th, so keep that in mind. If something happens with these guys, these will be releasing over the next month and a half or so. So if something happens, although not much should happen over the next month, but that's why we don't talk about it. And we're talking about two quarterbacks today. We're starting off with one of the highest traded quarterbacks, according to Dynasty Daddy, or the most traded, is Michael Penix, 25 years old. His startup ADP, according to Dynasty Labs in Superflex, is 57th. So that is at near the end of round 5. That goes as QB 20, and he's QB 19 according to Keep Trade Cut. That's what the little parentheses are there, the number in the parentheses. And we see his average there. Obviously, a 3-game sample for him, so I didn't include. He had a couple games where he came in, and that obviously affects your average. So I didn't include those. Just looked at the 3 games he started, and he averaged 15.2 points per game and did get better each week, 7.4, 12.2, and 26 points. He had a big game in week 18. Can't remember what the situation of the team they were playing, but he's an interesting one because we were just talking about beforehand, trying to remember, where he was going in rookie drafts, and we kind of fell like probably on average an early second, anywhere from like the 202, 203, 204, 205 in that range. Probably got as high as a late first in some, maybe even fell a little bit later in the second in others. And mostly because we thought, oh my God, he's not gonna play until 2027, and he's gonna be 27 years old or something at that point. And that's not the case. He played year 1. Just shows you how fast the NFL can change. So what are your overall thoughts with Penix this year? We'll kind of start with, if you have Penix on your team, what are you expecting from him in terms of fantasy points, production, fantasy finish, whatever. And then we'll kind of go from there.
Some important things to note, I guess, so far. I definitely his value has changed, basically since he became the starter in Atlanta. And you mentioned the situation of the teams, I kind of remember, I think if they would have won that last game where Penix had a really good game and the Bucs lost, they would have been in the playoffs because they would have won their division. I do remember that as a Bucs fan, so it's kind of things were still pretty open at that point in week 18. But yeah, and something else to note, I'm kind of remembering you talking about this last year, Penix, he's a quintessential, pocket passer. He's not going to give you anything on the ground. Doesn't even really scramble, but we are working with an extremely small sample size, you definitely know more about him from his college tape, and I kind of remember you being more or less not out on him, but kind of this might be the highest value for him right now, kind of a thing. So I think it's gonna really be up to the beholder, who's holding him and seeing what you can get for him. I'm not trading him. I think he's a solid hold. I'm comfortable with him as my QB3 on my team, just to see what happens. But I'm not too excited if he's my QB2. I'm more excited than I was because if he's your QB2, your team probably is not very good. And you kind of got lucky with him taking over for Kirk Cousins, who just got a big ass contract before last year started. So
yeah. He's I would say I kind of agree with you about the QB2 thing. Maybe if you have a solid QB2B, then I'm more comfortable with it, a solid QB3 essentially, which is what you're saying. Yeah, he's not going to rush. The most he rushed for in college when he played 6 years total. His career in college was 265 yards. The most he did in one season was 119, and that was he went through a bunch of injuries. He played at Indiana for 4 years, was injured a lot. And then he really turned his career around his last 2 years in college, and then obviously became a top 10 pick. So he kind of just falls into that bucket of quarterbacks that we always talk about, where it's like these guys aren't going to do much with their legs. They're going to be pocket passers, and so they can be a little volatile. And like, there's a huge group of them. Now he is at the bottom of that, near the bottom of that group. With guys like Jared Goff behind him, Dak Prescott and stuff, and so like I am a little bit more intrigued in acquiring him if I can tier down and get a bunch of assets, just because like I'm not going to be super. I would bet on a guy like Brock Purdy to be more productive than him, but I'm not going to be like shocked if they're not that far off. Same thing with other guys, like even someone potentially as like CJ Stroud. Now, say those guys, maybe they have a better situation this year and all of that, but they're just guys that maybe they'll give you on the ground. I know Purdy ran a little bit more either last year or the year before, last year being 2024 at this point. So the one thing that's in his favor that other guys around him don't have as much, like a Goff, like a Dak Prescott, is the fact that he, if he comes out and plays well, he can really move up the board in value. So Goff, that's not going to happen. Goff just came off a QB7 season, and he's ranked as the QB 21. So
Yeah,
that just shows
crazy.
you. Yeah, it's just the age bias. Same thing with Dak. So if Penix, and it's like you get tired of the same names and stuff, but it's tough with quarterbacks though, because okay, he's ranked as QB 20, but it's like someone has to be 20, and if there's 20 quarterbacks, that we're kind of excited about, like someone's going to be down there, right? So
sure, and the influx, with Michael Penix being the 5th guy last year, and he obviously got the starting job, and we saw, what some of the other rookies did, and so yeah, like no, it makes sense. Like you said, someone's got to be 20th, but it's like, yeah, I'd much rather like have some of the guys that are below him, yeah. So I mean, as far as trade value goes, like I don't know what you can really get for him, but you have some trades that people have been making, right?
Yeah, I've seen some trades here, just kind of looking at them, trying to get where it's just like just Penix being traded. There was one of them. It was like Penix for the 107 and the 301 in this 2025 drafts. I know a lot of rookie drafts are done. That's in a super flex league. I'm probably going to pass on that, to be honest. Like, I think I'll just keep Penix.
Yeah.
Knowing,
I mean,
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
I was just going to say, like, I don't think his value has changed enough to where it's like, oh, like you have to find that trade partner who really wants him. Like I don't think you're getting much more than what you paid for him, in the previous draft. So like given like maybe, like the 107 and the 301, that's probably a decent amount more than what you got, but it's not like crazy. It's like, what if you took them at the end of the first round, but if you're thinking more like, I guess it really depends on like where you drafted him. If you really feel like you're like, okay, like I basically moved up a whole round in value kind of a thing. Like if I got him at 206 and I moved up to 106, like awesome, I did put him into keep trade cut, like just to see like how his value compares to a 2026 mid first round. And it's basically saying, you need to add more or less like nothing players, like Sam Howell, Elijah Mitchell, Keenan Allen to the first in order to, not that Keenan Allen can't be good this year, but we obviously know what his value is. It's not even on a team. But yeah, so you're not really getting too much more on top of that first for next year. And that just seems like if you have no faith in him, then I don't know. Like I think he's a solid hold, kind of like what you were saying. Like let him play and then see like what you can get for him then, unless you have something ridiculous like coming through where it's like a decent player. Like think about some of the second round players that went this year. If you're in love with any one of those guys, plus a first for next year, it's like that's something you might be able to get done. People get quarterback desperate for sure.
What about this? Is probably one I'm kind of quickly looking through, but this is probably one of the closer ones I see. It's a 12-team start, 10 super flex, half point tight end premium. Michael Penix for Geno Smith. It says 27 first, but let's say it's next year's first. Where are you going on that one? So you're getting a first in Geno Smith for Michael Penix, and honestly, like Geno Smith could be better than Michael Penix over the next 2 years.
Yeah, and I don't think we've seen enough to like say he won't. Like he had 2, pretty bad games. Like Penix did. Like, I mean, I guess I don't know. I mean, there's single, a touchdown in one game, no touchdowns in the other. Sorry, I'm like hiccuping. Which is fine. It's like his first couple of NFL starts. Like, so I think I would. Wait, you said Geno plus what?
It was Geno plus 26 first.
Oh,
so
yeah.
let's just say it's a random first.
Yeah, I would take that. I think it is going to depend on your team makeup. If you're not even close to being competitive this year, you might want to just hold Penix. But honestly, the extra first, which like we'll just call it, mid to late. Like I'm just going to kind of assume mid to late because if people are trading away draft picks, that means their team's probably in a slightly good position, but not necessarily. Yeah, I don't mind that because you should be able to flip Geno. I always like it's funny because it's like what he should be worth and what people are actually willing to pay for him are always different, obviously, like just across leagues even. But it's like Geno as a starting quarterback who just got a contract, he should be worth at least a first, So that I think that's closer to being 2 firsts. Essentially. So I think I would just flip Penix for that and cash in the chips.
Yeah, it does depend a little bit on the makeup of your team, like you said. But yeah, the one good game we saw from Penix, it was against Carolina in Week 18. So who knows what the hell was going on there? It wasn't over. There was overtime as well. So I don't know how deep they went into it, but he does have a good offense around him. He has Drake London, Mooney, Ray McLeod, maybe Kyle Pitts, Bijan. Like he has hopefully a good offensive coordinator and all of that. So they're like the pieces are around him. I think he's an interesting one though. The reason why you don't make that trade is just because you think of the potential. The potential, like Geno is in the boat of Goff and Prescott, even worse because he's older than them. Like he's never going to be ranked higher than what he currently is, and he's only going to go down and stuff like that. So
yeah, I get that, but do you view Geno essentially as a first round pick? Like I know you might not be able to get that, but that's the way I would kind of view him. And I think when someone gets a little quarterback desperate, like you might be able to make that happen. I don't know.
I think if I have Geno, I would want a first round, or if you still don't have your rookie draft, like the 112 to the 202, because I really like the early picks in the second round here. Obviously, we don't know what that's going to be in 26. So I think if I have him, I would want a first. Would I trade a first for him? I'd try not to unless I'm like, I have just a stacked team and it's just like my QB3 spot is I have like 2 quarterbacks and that's it. And I need a QB3 and something like that. But I think I would avoid it for the most part right now. And maybe got to make that move later on in the year if I need to. So,
yeah, fair enough. Maybe like let's call Geno like an early to mid second, even though Keep Trade Cut does have him like valued at the 207 this year. So mid, we'll just call it a mid second. So yeah, I don't know.
That's a steal for him. If
What's
you're
that?
trading that? If you're getting Geno for the 207, I think that's a steal for the Geno side.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I don't know. People do have like this weird conception though, like of older players, and Geno is going to be 35 this year, like
Mhm.
during the season. So, I mean, I get it.
By the
But,
way,
all right, enough talking about Geno Smith.
by the way, that QB 17 points per game is really like QB 13, as you'll see here. As we talk about Tua and his numbers, he's the next guy we're talking about. 27 years old. He's going. I think I did the wrong math here, so I think it's uh, round 9. He's actually going in, if I remember correctly, but. And he's kind of, when you look at like the Dynasty ADP and all of that, he's kind of like one of the last quarterbacks that you're for sure getting a starter, at least for probably multiple years. It's after him is guys like Stafford and there was someone else that I forget. Um, but he's QB 24, 25 on keep trade cut. You see the numbers there. He had a really good 2022 season, like kind of a down 23 season. And actually last year, I think people will be surprised, QB 15 in points per game. And if you take out two guys, Joe Milton and Jimmy Garoppolo, who are above him because they played one game and, averaged 20 points or whatever, he was actually QB 13. So he was actually a low end QB1. So my question for you is Tua closer to like QB 15 to 18 range, or is he closer to like a low end QB1 in terms of points per game / high end QB2?
Yeah, probably, a high end QB2. I don't think, obviously that's not where people are ranking him. I think he's kind of an interesting one to bring up in this situation, like compared to Michael Penix. I know we're not comparing them, but, we've seen it from Tua, and like Penix is like they have like similar like faults, like as far as like they're not going to give you anything on the ground, but Penix is the quintessential like mystery box kind of a thing. It's like, well, what if he could be good? Like, what if he could be Tua? Like, yeah, like I mean, Tua's obviously got the injury risk like hanging over his head, but I would honestly, I think he's a great person to think about tearing down to. He just got paid last year, right?
I think so, yeah.
I think it was just last year. Obviously, like depending on like your taste for the risk, I guess. I can't think of a better way to say that right now. But I mean, he was the passing leader in the NFL when he played all 17 games 2 years ago, and obviously similarly to what you said about Penix is, he's got weapons, he's got Tyreek, however you feel about him. I don't think he's completely washed. Achane, Waddle, Jonnu for now. Yeah. So I don't know. I think with Tua, like obviously like the Dolphins are kind of making adjustments to like how they're playing, and we even heard a report like he's trying to get the ball out fast, like in training camp already, like which was what he was doing last year. It's like, and that's more to protect Tua than, they're just trying to win in a different way. I don't know if that will necessarily continue into this
which was
year.
working for him.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, and even look at his pace, 11 games, which I'm sure he didn't finish. He played at least 70% of the snaps in the game where he got knocked out of the game. But, 2,900 yards, 19 touchdowns, obviously nothing on the ground. The picks are obviously a little bit of a problem, but I always just kind of do like a little bit of mental math where it's like, okay, plus 50% because he played like, 2/3 of a season, and it's like, okay, 4,200 yards, 30 touchdowns, essentially like that's fine as a solid QB2,
Yeah. And that's what his 17 game average based on his career so far, his first 5 years, basically, 4,100 yards, 27 touchdowns. And that is including his first couple of years, which were not good. So you look at it more, plus last year where, I think that's all per game stuff anyways, but it's not including his totals. It's all per game. So yeah, I mean, he was throwing for 260 yards per game last year. He threw for 272 the 2 previous years. Again, he had 19 touchdowns in 11 games, which is solid. I think he's a little underrated, and he's at the bottom of that tier of guys who are like, yeah, I'm going to kind of look to down tier, because if I'm getting a guy who's throwing basically what he's been averaging, 30 touchdowns and 42, 43, 4,400 yards per game, I know he gives nothing on the ground, like we mentioned. That's going to be a low end QB1. I think the counter argument is, well, he's never going to be higher than that low end QB1, and that's probably true. But he could have a plus touchdown year. He could have a 35 touchdown year one year over the next few, like a Goff, who also does nothing on the ground. So yeah, I think he's a little underrated. And I'm definitely, again, considering where he's going in those startups, I keep trying to remember the last, maybe it is Geno or something, but there's a couple guys where it's just like, yeah, Tua's kind of like the end of the line. Like, if you need a quarterback over the next couple of years, you better take Tua, or, you're going to be kind of trying to fill in the gaps every year. There are not really a lot of trades recently that I see where I'm like, that are even like that are that even. Like I see a couple of like Tua straight up for Fields. Like, I'll take Fields there.
Yeah, for the upside, for sure.
Yeah.
And when I put him into keep trade cut as of right now, it's basically saying, Fields, an early second, and specifically the 202 in this year's draft. So
yeah, it's easy. Fields and the 202.
No, just those individual pieces.
So. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. So like, I just think he is underrated, and I think I know people, that's the problem with guys. And if you are worried about, if you want to know what Bryce Young's future is, like, look at Tua, because even if Bryce Young has a year where he, leads the league in passing yards and throws for 30 touchdowns, it doesn't take much for people to just be out again on them, because that's, Tua, people were out on Tua because he had a really bad first 2 years. And then there's guys around him like Justin Herbert, who was drafted right after him, who were doing really well. It's like a mirror image of, the Bryce Young kind of situation, where maybe slightly worried about his size. 6'1" is not tall for a quarterback. So like, it doesn't take much for people to just be quickly out on them again. So
I think that's a really good comparison, the Bryce Young situation, because Tua's Herbert is Young's Stroud. Look what CJ Stroud did last year, where it's like, he definitely had the sophomore slump. Granted, he was missing guys basically all year, and Stroud still, like, obviously he did fall, but he still ranked 11th. The QB 11 in keep trade cut right now. So whereas Bryce is down and QB 20, and you can argue that Young had a way better year than him last year.
If you take from the time he came back from the benching, those stats, that stretch of game over 17 games was actually better than Stroud. Year one, I'm pretty sure it was very close. He was either just under or just over. And so, like, if you had flipped their seasons, if this was Bryce Young did what he did, after his benching, he did that his rookie year, and then had his, first year as his second year, like, you switch it, you probably see these guys switched in ranks. So that's how important, like, breaking out year one is, because it's just, people are always going to doubt it. So not a lot of good trades with just like Tua. I mean, I see like Tua, Ricky Pearsall, the 204 and 304. Like, I'll take Tua there in a super flex league. Another Tua for Justin Fields. Yeah, that's a popular one. So I don't know. I think he's a little bit underrated. I'm definitely picking him up probably a couple rounds ahead of, maybe a round ahead of this, more like in round 7. I'd probably be picking him up. So
it depends on the makeup.
He could do well.
Yeah, the makeup of your team too. Like, if you went positional players heavy, like everyone else is, grabbing quarterbacks and stuff. Like, he's a guy you can wait on. don't feel
Mhm.
like you're necessarily like reaching if you do take him in the 6th or 7th round, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, you are slightly, but like that's not the end of the world. The future, and this could be really dated this season, and that's obviously the risk that comes with Tua, like where it's like, well, if he takes one more really bad hit, is he just done? But we've been saying
Yeah.
that as long as we've been saying Matthew Stafford's going to retire, and these guys are still playing. So
Yeah, that is a major thing, is that concern. It's a concern, but I don't know if it is a little bit more concern with Tua with the concussion stuff, but like everyone has that concern. We don't think about it until we see it happen. So
just handcuff him with Zach Wilson and you're totally fine.
yeah, Zach Wilson should definitely be rostered.
Yeah, for sure.
He would put up good numbers.
Yeah, I know. And like think about like the type of offense that Miami's running right now. It's like I'm sure Zach Wilson can do that. Like maybe not as well, like they're not asking a whole lot of Tua right now. Obviously much better than Zach Wilson. But,
yeah. But that is all for these quarterbacks. Let us know in the comments what you think. Make sure to hit the like, subscribe button, join the Discord, all that stuff. And we'll be back talking about a couple of running backs. We'll see you all.